and welcome to another edition of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And today I'm joined by two guests to talk about India's win over Bangladesh in the World Cup match at Edgbaston. India moved on to the semi-finals thanks to this win, and Bangladesh are now out of the tournament. Here to talk to me about it is Bangladesh's cricket correspondent for ESPN Cricinfo, Mohammad Isam. Hi, Isam.
Hi, Sid. How are you?
Hi, good to have you here. Also joining us is Subhash Jayaraman, the cricket coach, 81 All Out regular. Hi, Subhash.
Hey, Sid, thanks for having me.
Yeah, wonderful. So let me begin with Isam here. Talk a bit about the game, Isam. And I did read your tweet about how Bangladesh can go home, can go back with, I mean, they have one more game, but can go back with their head held high, even though they're out of the World Cup.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game for Bangladesh in the sense that they came back well after that initial Rohit Sharma KL Rahul partnership. It was amazing. They didn't give them any chance, although one chance. Obviously, Rohit Sharma gave that one chance, but they batted quite well in that phase. To come back from that, because there was a very widespread feeling that this could go up to 400. I think these things keep happening with Bangladesh. This is the third time that they have conceded 300 plus batting, fourth time actually they've conceded 300 plus bowling first. Against the Australians, against England, they conceded 380 plus. There was always this feeling that this could be the first time that they concede 400. Today it was palpable. It was like the whole ground was expecting that it would happen. But Mustafiz taking those 5 wickets came back well, and I just felt that India were just pegging away with the wickets. That's the sort of bowling attack you want. It wasn't flashy, but it was absolutely what required on this slow wicket. I thought Hardik Pandya bowled well. Towards the end, Bumrah obviously took the 4 wickets, was man of the match. But I just felt it was an all-round sort of an effort from India. It wasn't a one-man show. Rohit Sharma scored that 100, but I thought Rishabh Pant or he basically took it away from Bangladesh just when Bangladesh were having some grip in this game. Remember, in the 39th over, Mustafiz took out Kohli and Pandya, but then immediately afterwards, that over from Saifuddin when Rishabh Pant played all those shots along the ground, beautiful 3 boundaries, just took the sting out of Bangladesh. I think if there was one belief, it came at that moment, and he just took it away. So I thought he didn't score a lot of runs, but he batted well, and I think that, so in the end, whatever he scored and whatever the margin of defeat was for Bangladesh was pretty much the same.
Interesting. In terms of selection, though, I must ask you, I mean, both the teams seem to have gone in with the dimensions of the ground rather than with necessarily the pitch. I mean, of course, it was the same pitch where India played England. But were you okay with did you agree with the selection going in with both Rubel and Saifuddin in the place of a spinner?
Yeah, didn't agree with them because I'm always a firm believer in a good bowler. So I thought Mehdi Hassan was bowling very well in this World Cup. There was no need to change him because look, he's often asked to bowl to right-handers when they're in real good form, and he has stopped a lot of right-handers, got them out. I think he got hit by Jason Roy in Cardiff, but then he came back and took him out. He could have scored a double hundred that day. I'm always a firm believer of a bowler because if he is a bowler, he must know how to handle a certain end, must know how to bowl to left-handers, right-handers. Shakib bowled from that end, from the I think the City end, which has the shorter deep mid wicket for the right-hander. 10 overs, 41 for one, 41 for one, 41 for no loss. Anyways, the point is he handled it because he's a good bowler, and Mehdi is a good bowler. He handled Cardiff, he handled Australia as well, bowled beautifully in some of these matches. But I just don't get these sort of. I think India also thought of that way. Sometimes that dimensions, sometimes the number of left-handers, these are a little trivial at times. I don't know whether you guys agree with it or not, but it's just my opinion and sort of the way I played cricket. I never really cared about who was batting in front of me unless it was obviously someone who was just blasting me. And that's where my quality comes through as a bowler. I can honestly say I don't think Mehdi Hassan would have felt bad bowling from that end or to any of the Indian right-handers. He would have taken it as a challenge.
Subhash, let me bring you in here. India also went with Bhuvneshwar Kumar ahead of Kuldeep, perhaps partly because of the ground dimensions, but also partly because he offers that batting depth at number eight. Was that an expected selection for you?
It wasn't an expected selection, but kind of makes sense. And India lucked out. I agree with Isam. If you're a good bowler, you're a good bowler. I mean, considering that Chahal, is bowling to let's say Mushfiqur with the 82-meter boundary on the leg side. Once Shakib crosses over, well, you're exposed again. Are you going to bowl your stock delivery or your variation? And good batsman is going to pick your either one, right? That boundary hit is always under threat. And Chahal bowled pretty well. He had an idea of how to bowl. He chose that he wasn't going to be as attacking as he normally is. So he was going to maintain middle and leg line and sometimes outside leg line for the left-handers. And he tried to prevent Shakib from scoring runs by having a leg slip as well. So he tried to so that he could maintain that line, leg stump line. Saurav Ganguly in commentary kept saying like, "Hey, he's not being attacking enough." But this is the plan that he has come up with on how to bowl here when the batsman, when a right-handed batsman gets turned over to left-hander. This is how he's going to bowl. That's fine. That's how good bowlers do. They figure out a plan to limit the number of runs they get hit for, and in the process take a wicket. And I think Kuldeep would have done the same. However, by having Bhuvneshwar Kumar, as you mentioned, said yes, it kind of gives you additional insurance at number eight with the bat, but it became a straight shootout for how the team is going to look like next game, based on what Virat Kohli said about how the dimension was in his head and how Shami bowled today and how Bhuvneshwar looked coming back from injury. It's a no-brainer that they'll go back to two frontline pacers, two frontline spinners with Pandya. And the two frontline pacers are Bumrah and Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Yeah, let me bring in the Isam here again. Isam, are Bangladesh sick and tired of watching Rohit Sharma score runs against them?
Obviously, the Rohit Sharma has been quite successful against Bangladesh, and I just feel that there was this one series in 2015 when they kind of figured him out, but it was again Mustafiz with his cutters. But otherwise, they've struggled against him, containing him. Sometimes I feel that they play to the reputation of certain batsmen as well. I mean, I shouldn't expose them in this way, but I've met so many players over the years, Bangladesh cricketers, before a match, just after a match. So you get a sense of who they respect a lot. If they respect the player a lot, they end up, respecting them way too much and then maybe planning a little differently against him, maybe having that feeling that we can't really get him out until makes a mistake. I think it happened with Virat Kohli a lot with the Bangladesh team, and it has happened to Rohit Sharma. But interestingly, except for Tendulkar making that 241, I think, against Bangladesh, he hasn't really scored a lot of runs against Bangladesh. So I think it works both ways. Rohit Sharma, obviously, he was lucky as well. I thought that life he got when he was batting on 9, I think. So someone worked out in the press box. I think it was Melinda Farrell, my colleague, that out of his 544 runs, I think 2/3 of them came after he got dropped. So he's been dropped a few times. I think that's great because Shakib as well. He's been quite lucky with inside edges. Tamim hasn't been that lucky, but at the same time, Mushfiq hasn't been lucky finding fielders when he's played a good shot. I think it goes with the way cricket is played. I think there are times when you can't really explain certain things. But yeah, Rohit Sharma really has his sort of grip on Bangladesh's bowling. It's been quite a while that he's been scoring runs.
So, Subhash, talking about the chance and the luck, I know this is something that you like analyzing and talking about. As Rohit Sharma has scored 400s in this World Cup, and he has had 5 chances that are clear-cut chances. Of course, there are probably other half chances and things. Do you think he has been lucky, or has he made the most of his chances? How does one interpret this?
Well, the game is built on failures. If you had a batting lineup of, let's say, 7 batsmen and 4 bowlers, or 6 batsmen, or 5 batsmen, 2 all-rounders, 4 bowlers, right? So you basically expect 7 guys to bat. Not everybody is going to put up flawless innings where they had no luck, and also still put on big runs. You have to really have not non-competitive bowling and also very placid wickets. Even the greatest of batsmen can get out to some Lukka bowler. Ronnie Rani has got Tendulkar before. So, that doesn't make Ronnie Rani greatest bowler of all time or Tendulkar the worst batsman of all time. Does it? So the game is built on failures. And as Isam also mentioned, batsmen get inside edges. Sometimes it goes straight onto the stumps, and that's how your rut continues on. So the team is built in such a way that 3 out of the 7 hopefully will come through. It just so happens that Rohit Sharma has had some things go his way, but when things go his way, he's such a good batsman that he's not going to give you another opportunity till much, much later. If I give the same opportunity to, say, let's say Hardik Pandya, today, let's say Swami Sarkar drops him. How long do you think is he going to score 100? I doubt it. Number one, not enough time, but the game is so risk prone that he's going to sooner or later get out because the conditions are difficult. And the bowlers he's facing in that phase of the innings, Shakib Al Hasan and Mustafizur, both are legitimately, very, very good bowlers.
Yeah, that's a fine point. And again, as you were we were talking just before recording. I mean, had Rohit Sharma got out for 9, I mean, who is to say that Virat Kohli wouldn't have come in and made 100? Right?
Exactly, right? Virat Kohli probably, by the time he faces Mustafizur Rahman again in his second or third spell, Virat Kohli is probably on, let's say, 75. He's not going to play a hurried shot and hit it straight to the fielder. Maybe Virat Kohli makes 150 and takes the game away from Bangladesh. Who is to say? So the luck factor, it's part of the game. And Cricinfo keeps track of it using control percent. Test matches, you need to have 90 or above to have a substantial innings. In ODIs, you need to have somewhere between 80 and 90 to make a substantial innings. And T20, it's usually you see average numbers like 70 and stuff like that. Control percentage gives you good correlation to your survival rate, really. So lower the control rate, poorer the chances of you getting out are much higher. That doesn't mean you will always get out. There's only a chance.
Moving on to the innings, Isam, you were saying that so many people in the ground were expecting this to be a really tall score, maybe even 400. Talk a bit about the comeback. I mean, I read your piece about Mustafizur, and I'll link that in the podcast as well. But quite impressive to limit India to the score they did.
I just felt it started with Shommu Sarkar. He used the conditions quite well. He's a part-timer. They make fun of him because of his lack of pace. Obviously, I think all medium pacers get made fun of. But Shommu did actually did a good job. He pulled it back. Slightly, Mashrafi also did a bit of a comeback after his first really bad over. He went for 10 runs. But then he also made a bit of a comeback. Shommu made a bit of, brought the control back slightly. And just feel that there are certain times in the inning when Bangladesh did bowl a couple of good overs, but then again, you were bowling that doesn't come to your mind because you're watching Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, these guys batting. You can't really see it, but when you go back and see, I think India also dropped down their run rate at certain points. Obviously, a batsman going near 100, you have a batsman going near 50. Those things might happen, but I think India also slowed down slightly in the middle over when the pitch was getting a little slow. Maybe the older ball played a factor. My point being that Bangladesh started to take advantage from, I think, around the 27th, 28th over. And then Mustafiz, obviously, this also is quite an underrated thing about Mustafiz. His cutters are great only because he bowls them in the depth. When the ball is older and he can grip it properly and maybe use the pitch sometimes. So he was always going to be a bit of a difficult proposition towards the end. And, he came through. He bowled very well against the West Indies. Almost a similar sort of way he removed Hetmeyer. Shimron Hetmeyer was really on fire. And then he got under Russell's second ball or in the same over. And the same thing happened today. Just Bangladesh couldn't take advantage of it fully. Because if they didn't let Rishabh Pant get away with that, it could have been 280, 290. That would have been really underwhelming for India. And it just... Steve Roth said at the end, the Bangladesh coach, he said at the end that when they went into the dressing room, they thought they could chase it down because I was quite like, yeah, 314. They've done it before. So if it's a score like 340, they would think, we've not got 340. And it's a team mentality. I think I shouldn't blame Bangladesh for it, only Bangladesh for it. It's a bit of a team mentality. We have not done it before. But 314, well, they have done it a few times. They've done it in the World Cup. They fancied their chances. So I think that comeback, really, Mustafi's got them back. And the thing is, it's the first time that Mustafiz has taken three or more wickets and they've lost. That's a very that's a streak. I think that shows how effective he's been in the last 4 years.
I just want to ask you one point that you mentioned in the piece as well, that Mashrafe is very, very particular about how he uses Mustafizur in terms of his spells. And for me, somehow, Mustafizur has always come across as a fastish spinner rather than a seamer or a swing bowler. I mean, he's such a fantastic cutter of the ball that I often wonder that why he bowls the up front. I mean, is there ever a thought given to him just coming in after over 20 or 25 to bowl his whole quota?
Yeah, I think he just bowls he bowls up front as a sort of a nod to traditionalism. Maybe I, I don't know. I mean, he prefers bowling with the old ball because he's also figured out that there's no point bowling with the new ball because his cutters won't. It's very difficult to bowl cutters with the new ball, whether he's bowling a leg cutter or that special off cutter. He does bowl a lot of overs towards the end, and his numbers are awful in the first 20 overs. So I think he averages 47 overall, and I think 76 in the last 12 months or something when he's bowling in the first 20 overs. But you just take him in the last 10 overs, he's the best in the world. There's like, I think Rashid Khan is close, but Mustafiz takes a lot more wickets than him. He's a lot more effective. So yeah, I think I've heard so much about it. Sid Barnes, maybe a sort of a fastest spinner. And he used to bowl a lot of seam, Mustafiz, but I think now with T20s, he's also figured out the number of cutters are more important than when he mixes up. I think he's a bit of a genius in that sort of way. He does know what to do, but I think physical limitations also. He has a shoulder problem on the back of his shoulder. There's a bit of a twinge that he feels every time he bowls a cutter that hasn't really gone away. So it's taken a bit of time to do that, but I completely agree with you that he's a bowler for overs 20 to 50. So Mashrafi makes sure that him, Rubel, these guys bowl back of the innings more.
I want to add a few things to the Indian batting innings and the pitch itself. On Sunday when India and England played on the pitch, England batted first, and England came out of the blocks like there was no tomorrow, and they had 100. They were 145 for no loss at the end of 20 overs. And the next 30 overs, they scored 192 for 7. And India today, 122 for no loss at the end of 20, and scored exactly what England scored in the next 30 overs, which is 192. In this case, India lost 9 wickets, whereas England only lost 7. And the WinWiz, CricViz, they also put up the numbers about their pitch pace rating. As the match progresses, innings progresses, how is it going? And there was a linear downward progression of the pitch quality as well. So it was getting harder to hit the ball. Obviously, ball's getting old, the pitch is tiring, and Soumi Sarkar first exercised control, and then Shakib and Mustafizur came back and restricted the Indians on that. When England batted that way, and then India, when it looked like England could easily score 400, 420, whatever, and then restrict them down to 334, the Indian bowling attack got the credit. Bumrah did this, and Shami later on he gave 44 in 3 overs, but still, and then they play small square field, blah blah blah. But the Indian bowling attack got credit, saying that hey, they restricted England down, and Bangladesh should get credit here as well, rather than some of the talk during the match was during the India's batting inning was like how India is screwing the pooch again. I was like, there are 2 teams playing here.
Well, but thoughts on the order though, batting order though. They did bring in Dinesh Karthik, but he came in slightly lower down at number 7. But what were your thoughts on batting lineup?
I have no complaints. I think this is going to be the best performing. It's a toss-up. It's going to be a toss-up between Dinesh Karthik and Kedar Jadhav. So I don't know what the reasons would be that Virat Kohli might pick one over the other. Maybe when the days he picks Shami, he'll pick Karthik, and the days he has Bhuvneshwar Kumar, he will have Jadhav. I don't know.
But is it an expectations thing? Like, are we so accustomed now to seeing these batsmen play on absolute belters of wickets, especially in maybe even in IPL and T20, that there somehow seems to be an expectation for 100 in the last 10 every single time. Even though, I mean, as we have seen in the last two games, number one, the bowling is fantastic. Number two, the pitch is not necessarily, the Chinnaswamy Stadium wicket in a IPL match. But when it's almost like when Dhoni takes only 4 or 5 and over, it becomes like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to people not actually paying close attention to the cricket itself. They think, if something is gone from overs number, say, 35 to 40, then it should accelerate to this much rate. This is what, oh, you can do that. I'm like, no, it's not possible. There's not a bowling machine. There's actually bowlers that are actually very well skilled, taking full advantage of the situation and the conditions. And you have to bat accordingly and see what the team plan is. It's like no matter what, Dhoni is never going to step out of what the team's plans are. He's like, okay, this is my role. That's what I'm going to do. So people that watch on TV, even commented, they just talk out of their asses. Whereas when we have seen in this tournament, just because you have progressed from over number 20 to 40 a particular way, it's not guaranteed that's how it's going to go. And in that sense, the World Cup, apart from a couple of pitches here and there, pretty much has had very challenging conditions. You can't just hit through the line. And if you have good bowlers, and Bangladesh, they were very close to becoming one of the semi-finalists. So they are not some pushover opposition.
Yeah, talking about the second innings, I have to get Isam here. We did a podcast with Isam before the World Cup, and I linked that as well. And we were talking about Bangladesh and the history of chasing big totals. And Isam was talking about how 300 is generally has been a bit of a barrier for Bangladesh. But then after that chat, Bangladesh then went on to Ireland to play a tri-nation tournament. They won that after, and they had they chased tall totals through that tournament. And then even in the World Cup, they've come in and they've made a game of the big total. They even chased very well against West Indies to win that game. So, Isam, talk a bit about this. I mean, what would you attribute this to? And is this something that has come as a surprise to you over the last few months?
Not at all. They all listened to this podcast and they thought we should do it. Look, just look at the stat when we last spoke about them chasing 300 plus or reaching 300 scores. There are not many, but that's the thing. They raised it for this World Cup. I think a lot of people in Bangladesh, they're going after Tamim. It's a very sad thing because this guy, after the 2015 World Cup, he was traumatized by the amount of trolling that he received. He completely changed the way he played cricket. Look, it wasn't just the trolling. It was like everyone was talking about how he should be dropped. He's playing because of his uncle. He changed the way he eats. He changed the way he trains, and he became, I think, one of the leading openers in world cricket. Also, he was playing in very difficult batting conditions in Bangladesh. Like every test match, every one-day match was played in a very slow wicket, a very low wicket. So this guy, he changed the way he batted. He let Shomu and Litton go after the bowling whenever they opened with him because he could have. He wants to score quick runs as well. So they gave him a role. He stuck to that role. And Shakib, well, bullied his way into batting at number 3. And the rest of the batting order just fell in place. They batted beautifully in Ireland, any total. And later, Shakib revealed something very interesting, guys. There was a lot of time in Bangladesh cricket where, there was a lot of hot-headedness in the dressing room. There was a lot of shouting going on, a lot of abusive language. He didn't say, by the way, he didn't say this part, but I'm just telling you. He said that the dressing room has become a really relaxed place. People are listening to music. 2 wickets down, no one cares. 4 wickets down, we have got batsmen. We're chasing a big total. We know what to do. I think it has come with experience, and he credited the current coaching staff as well. I think a lot of people make a lot of noise about Courtney Walsh being unable to do anything with the fast bowlers. They don't really realize. I think one thing that Subhash said was people talk about cricket out of their asses. Sometimes they do. Courtney Walsh has brought about a very big sense of calm in this dressing room because, well, the guy has seen everything. And the moment, like Tamim and Mashrafi described to me once, the moment he enters a dressing room, whenever he has addressed the team, everyone listens to him. Everyone wants to listen to him. He's a legend. And as we all know, cricketers, they like hearing it from cricketers. Like they want to know from former cricketers who were big shots, who were big stars back in the day. They want to hear from them. And honestly, Bangladesh hasn't had a big shot in their dressing room since Gordon Greenwich, since Dav Watmore. He was a World Cup winning coach. So in the coaching staff, they've always gone for a bit of a middling sort of personalities like Jamie Siddons, Stuart Law. They were not big, huge personalities. Dav Watmore was one. Gordon Greenwich, obviously. Courtney Walsh, when he enters a dressing room in Bangladesh, the players listen. Okay, they may not have, translated it. The bowlers may not have translated it into a lot of wickets, or he may not have produced a lot of fast bowlers. It's not easy. 4 years, you're in charge of only one team. I just feel that that calmness, that Walsh, maybe Rhodes, the coach, maybe the senior players have also produced, that also plays a part. Maybe when I was talking about it, my mind was about how a 300 was like, no, 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 we can't chase that because, well, that's how it's been. But that's like a switch. I think sportsmen and women, they can actually do that. They can just change everything by just deciding to do it. Tamim did it. Virat Kohli gives all these interviews about his diet, how he, you know, changed his life with that one diet and one fitness regime, and it probably has changed his life. But yeah, or just listen to a podcast.
Of course. I'm sure Courtney Walsh is playing them this podcast every time we have a new episode. I think that's the biggest thing that Walsh has done.
The one thing that cannot be understated here is people like Shakib, Mushfiqur, Tamim. They have been together for so long, and they are the core of the Bangladeshi team. And you can add Mahmudullah to it too if you'd like. But they are and Mashrafe obviously. The core of the team. They've been playing together. So you understand each other's game. You understand each other's strengths, weaknesses, phobias and philias and whatever. You understand all these things, and it goes a long way in how you approach a game. When I used to play club cricket, the first 4 or 5 seasons, like we win 3 out of 13 games, something like that. And once we started getting good, where we won like 8 games, 9 games in the season, then you'll run into playoffs and then lose to the same fucking team every year. It took me another 3 years to figure out how to play in a knockout. And then we beat the same team and then went to the final and we lost. And then eventually we won. And I think that's the journey that Bangladesh is also on. International cricket is a lot more cutthroat than club cricket, obviously. So, quality of players doesn't come down. You're going to see sooner or later where Bangladesh is in a World Cup final.
When talking about quality, I have to talk about, to bring Isam in, you have obviously watched and seen Shakib al Hasan from when he was probably a youngster playing club cricket. Is this perhaps his peak? Have you seen him bat, bowl, play cricket better before?
No, I always go back to that New Zealand series, 2010, when New Zealand came with a full strength team. Bangladesh were without Tamim and Mashrafi, and they were not with a lot of good players even. I think Mushfiq and Mahmudullah were just barely in the team. He raised his game to a level that no one in Bangladesh had seen at that time. Wickets, runs, captaincy. Like I remember calling him Superman in one of my pieces in the Daily Star. He has never really dropped off, but I have honestly never seen him play this well at a big tournament or any Tri Nation or sort of any significant cricket tournament. There was a bit of luck involved at times, but he just went for it. I think his bowling today, that was a great example of what a fine mind he has. He was given that end. Mashrafi just stuck to him for 10 overs. And I was like, my God, I mean, if I was the bowler, I would have told my captain to fuck off. Because the mid wicket was short, and as a left armer bowling to a right hander who doesn't really turn the ball away from the batsman too often, you always run the risk of one ball that just drops a little short. And guys like Rohit Sharma, they're like really good at those shots, and he did hit him for a six. But Shakib just brought them right back into that sort of game. And you know, if I was a fielder today, or if I was just in the Bangladesh team, I would have just been inspired by that. I mean, batting, he bats beautifully. He makes sure he scores that important 50 or that 100. But what he did with the ball ball today, I mean, sometimes people snigger at the fact that I have compared him to great all rounders, and they're like, no, come on, they're fast bowlers. He's a spinner. No, you cannot deny his quality. He's a match winner. Whatever he bowls, batsmen are scared of hitting him. Look, I wrote it in a piece. I'm going to repeat it. I hope you don't guys don't mind. He does the most simplest thing in cricket. He tosses up a ball. Everyone can do it. It's like not even cricket bowling, like the sport bowling. It's as easy as softball, and he bats like a really freewheeling kid. He doesn't really bat like a very adult sort of a batsman. He goes for it. His cut shots, his drives are very sort of basic. He doesn't really do a lot of. There's not a lot of flourish in his batting. My point is, so why haven't people been able to conquer him? Not why haven't batting attacks gone after him? He should have been giving away a lot of runs. He bowls beautifully in unhelpful conditions in New Zealand. Suddenly he takes a 4 wicket haul. Batting wise, there haven't been a lot of batsmen who have the guts to tell the coach. Well, he did. He's been doing it for like a long time. Give me number three. The coach has said no. The moment the coach goes, he's like, no, I'm going to take my number three now. He took his number three spot when Hatu left. In Hatru Singh, Chandra Hatru Singh left in 2018 Jan. The first series started to bat at number three. That day I asked him, so did anyone ever say don't bat at number three? He said, yeah, every time. Every time I fail, they say don't bat at number three. So to have that sort of guts, that confidence that, yeah, I can do it, that also speaks volumes. I just can't believe sometimes that the Bangladesh dressing room doesn't take a lot of inspiration from me. I think many of the younger guys have become cricketers because of him, Tamim and Mashrafi. But I mean, to have him in the same dressing room, sometimes I think this is a story from like 7 or 8 years ago. I took his interview in Zimbabwe once, and I asked him about captaincy and how he struggles with certain things. And he said the biggest struggle he has is when people don't compete at his level. I think my mind went back to this one really small interview that I think Ashok Mankad he gave about Sachin Tendulkar, that Tendulkar came back from a 97 series in South Africa where they got hammered.
Mhm.
And he said, why, sir, why can't they throw like Sean Pollock? Sean Pollock threw down the stumps from 90 meters from the boundary. And Ashok Mankad probably said, no, we don't do those things here. Same thing with Shakib. He saw in county cricket how fast bowlers prepare, and he said, why can't our fast bowlers prepare that way? Why can't they eat so much? Why can't they train so hard? Well, that's not the culture. And he lives that culture. He loves the fact that he's completely different. He's a real pro. And Bangladesh is really, really, lucky to have him. He has a lot of luck while he's batting bowling. I think Bangladesh is also very lucky to have him.
Also, I want to add one more thing. Within this, obviously, I can't talk about Shakib the way Isam can. I want to talk within the scope of the today's match. The first ball he bowled, it was to KL Rahul. I think that's the one that turned the most. And Rahul was playing a defensive stroke. It beat went past the outside edge. It wasn't very close, but went past the outside edge. And he put the thought in the batsman's head that, oh, I can turn the ball on this wicket. And since after that, the next ball itself it was like a dart straight up. And then he changed the pace really, really well. He started pushing through. And the 1-6 that he went for, it was a short delivery, long hop that Rohit Sharma immediately went on the back foot and put it away. That was a genuine bowling mistake. Other than that, it wasn't. And then he went for 2 more boundaries. That's about it. That's like 3 boundary strokes out of 60 deliveries. And I think he bowled 32 dot balls, so more than 50% dot balls. So that guy is, he knows his bowling so well. He knows because he kind of thinks like the batsman too, so which helps. That, this is the advantage here, so this is what you want to do. So I'm going to change the line slightly, and I've shown you that I can turn it. So it's a cat and mouse game. And you know, he doesn't blink that easily.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to pick up on with Isam is that about Shakib inspiring youngsters. I mean, there was this my one of my favorite partnerships in this whole World Cup was between Shakib and Litton against West Indies. I think that was a beautiful, beautiful partnership to watch, and such varying styles. You had the youngster, one of he's so graceful and so easy on the eye, and then of course you had Shakib, the maestro, guiding him through. And today too, they were sort of batting together. And was there again a feeling that maybe they can replicate what they did against West Indies?
Yeah, I honestly thought when Lidon got out, that was the final nail in the coffin for Bangladesh. I mean, I told Nagraj sitting next to me, I said, "That's it, it's over," because that was the last hope. I just felt that Lidon is getting into that Mohammad Ashraful mindset. I've mentioned Mohammad Ashraful in front of Subhash Jayaraman. So I think that's a problem. He scores one big one, and then he just comes back to um, that inconsistency. I hope it doesn't afflict him a little more, because now he scored a run, scored a big one in a World Cup. He should be charged up to score more runs. But yeah, that was a great partnership in the West Indies, and I felt genuinely today that when he got out, that's when Bangladesh lost the game.
So, Subhash, in terms of the Indian bowling attack, they were pretty much just five bowlers today. And do you think? I mean, one of the stories for of this World Cup, and something that's not been highlighted enough, in my opinion, is the bowling of Hardik Pandya. And do you think now it's high time that India basically start trusting Pandya to be that bowler to give you the 10 overs, and not necessarily try and think of a Jadhav or somebody else to supplement that and share the overs with him?
I thought and I tweeted this too, saying that Hardik Pandya should have been the man of the match. Yeah, Bumrah got 4 wickets, two of them, highlight package smashing Yorkers to number 10 and number 11. But Hardik Pandya is the actual man of the match today. He got the wickets of Shakib, Litton Das, and Swami Sarkar, 3 wickets. And he had the ability to exploit the pitch. He bowled cutters, short bouncers, quick bouncers. Litton Das he got with a fast bouncer. He got Swami Sarkar with an off cutter, basically, dug it into the pitch. And Swami Sarkar was so early into the shot, hit it to cover, basically, right? Um, um, so I thought the way he bowled was fantastic, and knowing that there is no backup option. If he had completely bombed or gave away easy scoring deliveries, he still went 6 runs and over. Well, typically he goes 6 runs and over. You take that from your fifth bowler, especially if they give you some wickets, which he does.
And he even went at 6 runs and over against England on that day when India got smashed for
Exactly,
yeah.
Same wicket. So he figured out what to do on the weak pitch. So I think what we are seeing are two absolutely genuine match winners in the India side that are going to play in all three formats: Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant. And especially Hardik Pandya is further down the road in assessing conditions, both as a batsman as well as a bowler. And we're going to see him get better and better. And hopefully, Virat Kohli, if he stays as the captain, understands this and takes full advantage of this. I want to say one more thing about the Indian bowling. Mohammad Shami, right? He came in, successful against Afghanistan, got early wickets and late wickets against England, but went for tons of runs, especially the death overs. And we saw that today again. England top batting opposition, as is Bangladesh, even though this was like a lower order of Bangladesh that was taking him to the cleaners. So it told us his limitations as a fast bowler with the white ball. He should have been bowled out well before 40 overs. I think Virat Kohli would have been better served holding Pandya and Kumar and Bumrah rather than having Shami, because he was bowling. He could not bowl a proper cutter on the wicket. He bowled like one or two slowers that were not hit. Everything else, he's bowling length delivery, gets whacked. Next he bowls, I'm going to bowl the same length delivery, only like 2 miles faster, when the pitch is slowing. So he was like coming nicely onto the bat, and everybody was hitting him. So I think by and Bhuvneshwar Kumar showed that he's back in form and fit. So I think we have seen the last of Shami in this tournament.
So let me wrap up with Isam. There is one match left against Pakistan, and you can tell us about how Bangladesh will approach that. I mean, obviously there is a lot of rivalry there, and it's definitely they're not going to take that match easily. But can you just talk a bit about what they'll take back from here? It's been, as you said, a tournament worth savoring for them in so many ways.
Sid, I think if they don't beat Pakistan, this is not going to be seen as a successful tournament. At least I won't say it's a success because um, they have beaten Pakistan recently in the Asia Cup. They have started to beat Pakistan since 2015. They see it as their sort of team that, when you beat Pakistan, you know that, okay, you're at a certain level. That's one team. They've beaten South Africa, West Indies in a tough situation. Afghanistan, one player told me that probably the most pressure match for them. Afghanistan was the most pressure match for them because you don't want to lose to Afghanistan. Pakistan is very important for Bangladesh, and the coach said that they're not going to take the foot off the pedal because they need to beat Pakistan. It's not just about pride. It's not just about the fans. I think it's more about how they see themselves as a progressive cricket team, and if they can go home with four wins, four losses, that makes a lot of difference.
And also, these are we spoke about the core of the team, right? They're all players who have been together for so long. So, Isam, do you think that by the time the next World Cup comes around, that you could have a totally different core? I mean, do you see? I mean, I guess Mashrafe, it's fair to say that he's not going to be around unless there's some miracle happens. But do you see any of the main players continuing to be part of the core? I'm talking Tamim, Mushfiqur, and Shakib.
Yeah, I certainly hope that they all three will be there for the World Cup, for the next World Cup. Shakib, Tamim, Mushfiq, all about the same age. So I think they will be around. Mashrafi, Mahmudullah, I'm not too sure because he's slightly older. I don't know how his form will be. He's got a couple of injuries now to get over. But 4 years from now, I think we should start at the top. Who will be in charge of the BCB? Who will do the selection? That's when it starts. So that matters. Guys, I just wanted to share something with you. With Bangladesh cricket being run this way, also, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think that you can just give me a short answer? But do you guys think that a team that is run in such an unprofessional way, with no real direction from selection, no real direction about decision making, with letting one captain out and then dropping telling the captain, like, so many things have happened with Mashrafi. There was a time when they thought Shakib wasn't good enough in 2017 Champions Trophy when he was not taking wickets. The board runs the cricket team in such a way. I think don't you guys think that this is sort of a team that exceeds a lot of expectations in other ways?
I'll give you.
Sure.
I'll give you a frame of reference. Pakistan won the World Cup in '92. They won a Champions Trophy. West Indies have won 2 World Cups and 2 World T20s. I think their board administration, how the players are treated through the history of the sport in these 2 corresponding boards is, I think Bangladesh could easily claim at least on par, if not worse, but at least on par, right? So there is hope.
Don't forget Sri Lanka, by the way.
Oh, of course. Where is Andrew?
Where is Andrew Fidel? Yeah.
So given all that, there is still possibility. And, you play cricket longer and people see you and you're going to find more talent. And you have people within the team nurturing that talent. Like a Imran Khan taking Wasim Akram under his wing, things of that nature. And then Ranatunga finding a life's purpose for Saraj Jayasuriya. That sort of thing can happen and does happen. And I think will happen with Bangladesh too. If you paint everything from what BCP has done, not done, how they have treated players, yes, you would expect the team not to be a professional team. But in this World Cup, they have been a very professional team, which is why I really, really hope they do a very professional job against Pakistan. I think, pound for pound, I think they are the better team. Bangladesh are the better team in these conditions. So I hope they win.
And Isam, you yourself have written about how cricket is no longer, the way it was back in the day when it was so Dhaka centric, and how the game's wings have spread all across the country now, and how it's such a thriving passion, and how there are cricketers coming from far-flung areas, Cox's Bazar and other places that you've written of. And I think that is a huge sign. I mean, when you have cricketers coming from length and breadth of the country, as it happened with India in the late 90s and 2000s. I mean, as the 2000s began, you've started seeing cricketers from all over the country. And if the same thing happens in Bangladesh, then the talent is just going to be constantly flowing in, as it is now, as we've seen in this World Cup. I mean, look at the number of impressive youngsters who are coming in. And if that happens, then I think that is itself a huge deal. I mean, there are countries now like, New Zealand or South Africa where that is becoming a problem. I mean, talent is either going away, like places in like South Africa, or talent is becoming very hard to find, or the talent pool is very limited. But if Bangladesh have that advantage and can exploit that advantage, then I see no reason why in 2-3 years time they can't. I mean, in the next World Cup, why they can't make the semi-final. Let me just wrap up by asking you, if you were to take back one moment from this World Cup that you will remember, what would you pick?
Shakib against West Indies batting, unbelievable. He made sure they blunted their bouncer thing. It was such a slight to their ego, the way Shannon Gabriel and all these guys blew them away, that when they scored at 13 and over against their short ball, I mean, it made me feel good that, yeah, you gave it back to them. They kept bowling short and he just kept hitting them. He could have been out a few times, but the way he handled it, and obviously lit on hitting Shannon Gabriel for 3 sixes. I know that it got a huge cheer from the Bangladesh dressing room because Shannon Gabriel really troubled them in 2 series, home and away. So I think that was a beautiful moment. Obviously, against South Africa, one shot stood out, Somo Sarkar pulling Lungi and Giri. So yeah, those two moments, I think those were obviously both coming from batting, but Shakib obviously has had a great World Cup.
Fantastic. All right. So we thank you so much, Isam. We will definitely love to catch up with you sometime after the World Cup and talk more about Bangladesh cricket. Thank you for sparing time to talk to us.
Thank you for inviting me to this show.
Absolutely. And thanks, Subhash, as usual. And hopefully we'll get together again after the next India game.
Thanks, Sid. Have a good one.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of the 81 All Out podcast. Please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you prefer. It would be wonderful if we could leave a rating and a review so that more people find us. You can also follow us on Twitter at 81 All Out and check out all our previous podcasts and articles on our website, 81allout.com. In case you're still listening, here's a shout out to our sister podcast on regional movies, whereistheotherbanana.com. You can follow them on Twitter at theotherbanana and watch out for updates on all the movie reviews and discussions that they put out. As always, we would love to hear your thoughts on the work we do, so please send us your feedback. Goodbye.
In the air, Srijan takes it! India win! He'll come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home.